withdrew his forces and returned to Tiamo to inform the queen. The demonic army wasn't fleeing, they were regrouping with a million-strong force heading their way. In 2 days, they would reach Tiamo. There was no time to run, their only option was to fight. Arn devised a plan. He would delay the demonic forces for 1 to 3 days while the others fortified Tiamo. 3 days later, the million-strong demonic army reached Tiamo and initiated battle just as Arn returned. In those 3 days, he had already slain 400,000 of them, but at a great cost in magic stones. His friends were too exhausted to fight, so Arn relied on his tireless magical beasts. He summoned all his beasts for a full-scale attack. Despite their efforts, the demonic forces were still overwhelming. Arn ordered everyone to use their extra skills to thin their numbers. Gatula and other elf commanders fiercely defended the city. No matter how fiercely they fought, the demons kept advancing. Arn was running out of magic stones, with only 9,000 left against 400,000 enemies. He was using nearly 300 stones per minute, leaving him less than 30 minutes before depletion. Just as Arn and his companions, Karina and Dogora, reached their limits, some soldiers returned to Tiamo with a large bag of magic stones. 3 days earlier, Arn had led a force to kill about 400,000 demonic soldiers but had to return quickly to Tiamo, leaving no time to gather the stones. So, he collaborated with about 3,000 elf soldiers to collect them. With the replenished supply of magic stones, Arn was ready to counterattack. He summoned all his Dora dragons and used their devastating skills, consuming a massive amount of magic stones but causing significant damage. Arn launched a widespread attack, pushing back the demonic forces. Gatula and the other soldiers were shocked by this display of human power. After hours of effort, Arn's forces temporarily drove the demonic army from Tiamo, achieving a massive victory. After such a tiring battle, soaking in a bath was indeed a luxury. Following the battle, the queen expressed her gratitude to Arn's group. However, Arn wasn't in a mood to celebrate, they had only repelled the enemy temporarily. Around 2 million more were stationed in Jotunheim, and a coordinated attack by them would be unstoppable. So, Arn immediately outlined a new plan. First, they needed a stronger fortress, Rapalka Castle, located north of Tiamo. The demonic forces had only recently seized it, and likely hadn't reinforced it yet. The elf commander quickly understood Arn's intention and ordered the preparation of troops, estimating about 5 days to gather a sufficient force. Meanwhile, they planned to launch a full assault on Rapalka Castle, with Arn continuing to deplete the demonic army's numbers. That night, Arn summoned Maria and instructed her to scout Rapalka Castle, surrounded by mountains and difficult to attack. Maria infiltrated the fortress, disguising herself in the clothes and body of a demonic beast. The demonic forces hadn't seen Maria before, so she went unnoticed. As she surveyed the fortress, teeming with demonic soldiers, a fat pig demon summoned her, ordering her to deliver tea to Grasta, the fortress commander. Grasta, a name previously unknown, seemed to be an important figure. Maria entered his room to find 3 individuals, clearly from the demon tribe, a first glimpse for Arn. Even the academy had no information on them. Grasta was furious over his army's defeat, while the other 2 speculated about the reasons for their loss. This was a fortunate eavesdropping opportunity for Arn. It seemed the demonic forces were unaware of Arn's group's involvement with the elves. Their intelligence seemed lacking. Grasta, frustrated, believed the powerful demonic army could never lose to the elves. He sent a request for reinforcements to the demon god, preparing for a pincer attack strategy, determined to annihilate them completely. The next morning, the tunneling into the fortress was complete. Arn returned, leading a small team alongside Commander Gatula. 5,000 elf soldiers would accompany Arn's team into the fortress. Their mission was simple: once inside, they needed to open the gates for the remaining troops. Gatula found the plan risky, but Arn was confident in its high success rate, so the operation began. Arn and Gatula led their respective halves of the soldiers on separate missions to eliminate a large number of enemy forces. Arn summoned the magical beast Sophia, and she quickly called forth her wind spirits, rendering the demonic army's ranged attacks ineffective. As the clock struck the appointed hour, Commander Rikudo stood outside the fortress, ordering his elf soldiers to use their extra skills to support the infiltration. Quickly, Gatchula's group opened the gates, allowing the exterior forces to flood in and sweep through the demonic soldiers without causing too much damage to the fortress. Arin and Rikudo rapidly reorganized their troops to face the emerging enemy. Arin stood ready to confront three powerful demons, including Grasta, who had previously severed Commander Rikudo's arm. Disdainfully, Grasta underestimated Rikudo, unaware of the elf force's true strength. Breaking into the fortress was a considerable feat, but the demons were overconfident. Rikudo stepped back, leaving Arin's group to deal the final blow. Grasta was surprised by Arin's presence, questioning how humans had infiltrated their stronghold. Dismissing Grasta's psychological tactics, Arin retorted sharply, uninterested in conversing with fools. Grasta, enraged, faced a well-organized opposition. Karina was set to battle Commander Grasta, Dagora would fight the werewolf Yagulf, and Falmal would take on the long-haired demon. This was their first time fighting three demons simultaneously. Prepared with strategic planning, Karina and Dagora launched their attacks, unleashing their full power. However, the demons were incredibly strong and easily repelled them. Arin realized he needed to handle the dark-haired demon first. They coordinated their attacks on the werewolf Yagulf, surrounding him with three-headed dogs and Dora dragons, but the demon mage's healing skills kept Yagulf unscathed. It was then that Grasta commanded Yagulf to use his extra skill, shocking Arin's team with the revelation that demons could also wield such power. Yagulf charged at an alarming speed, but Arin was ready with a counter-strategy. Using a reversal technique, Yagulf was taken by surprise and repelled. Before he could recover, the dragons and hellhounds unleashed a devastating combo, defeating him instantly. Only then did Grasta recognize Arin's extraordinary abilities, suspecting that Arin must be a liberator. Arin was baffled by the term liberator, even the demon mage doubted its validity. They couldn't believe that a normal human like Arin could alter the course of a battle. Grasta, changing his plan again, ordered the mage to quickly report back to the demon god while he stalled for time. Arin, sensing their strategy, urged Karina to use her extra skill, which she struggled to activate. In the meantime, Arin commanded his hellhounds to attack Grasta, but the demon was so powerful that he defeated the hound with a single blow. Just then, Karina activated her skill and engaged Grasta in hand-to-hand combat, while the mage looked for an escape. Arin couldn't allow this and directed his Dora dragon to strike the mage, but his healing skill was robust, and it took more than one hit to defeat him. Sophia quickly asked Falmal to shoot the mage, but Falmal hesitated and missed a critical shot, allowing the mage to escape. Meanwhile, Karina was overpowered by Grasta, her extra skill nullified. Arin rallied everyone for a combined attack, and after several hours, they finally defeated Grasta. Grasta died smiling, confident that the mage had escaped and that the demon god would eventually avenge him. Killing Grasta earned Arin a staggering 32 million experience points, finally unlocking his command skill. The group then focused on eliminating the remaining demonic soldiers in the fortress. Hours later, the elf army successfully reclaimed Rapalka Castle. Sophia felt guilty for letting the mage escape, but it was all part of Arin's plan. Maria had successfully followed him, and now they could see what the demon god was really like. Arin promptly informed the queen that the plan had succeeded without any casualties. Their next focus was the demonic army heading south towards Zosenheim. They had to leave a substantial force to defend Rapalka Castle and couldn't move them to intercept the southern invaders. So, Arin devised another plan. He and his team would defeat the approaching southern demonic army. Hours later, the mage returned to the elf capital. Arin was overwhelmed by the immense pressure emanating from the demon god, who was far stronger and more unusual than Grasta. As the mage began his report, the demon god pointed straight at Maria, blaming Grasta's foolishness for not recognizing the spy right beside him. Exposed, Maria dropped her disguise and verbally confronted the demon god, who, uninterested, sent her back immediately. This encounter confirmed to Arin the demon god's immense strength, a direct confrontation seemed hopeless. Fortunately, the demon god was obsessed with the world tree and wouldn't leave its vicinity, giving them a chance to defeat the southern demonic forces. Arin wondered how effective his new command skill would be, hoping it functioned like a rapid summoning skill to give him an advantage in the upcoming battle. Before the operation began, Arin needed to report back to the elf tribe. He instructed them to stay and defend Rapalka Castle, while he alone would confront the demonic army pouring in from the south. Arin then questioned the queen about the demon god, Liesel, whose name strangely resembled those of the elf tribe. Considering Liesel's obsession with the world tree, Arin speculated that he might be from the dark elf tribe, and the current conflict could be his revenge against the elves. The queen pondered but couldn't recall any dark elf named Liesel. The following day, the campaign began. Arin's group stayed behind at Rapalka Castle, where Dagora's extra skill was key to their defense. Arin reminded him to use it sparingly, only in critical situations. Arin then mounted a griffin and headed to the southern front line. In the meantime, he had a brief window to converse with the hero. He had sent Maria back to talk to him, partly to deliver recovery fruits to the hero's army. With the elf reserve troops returning to Zosenheim, the hero's forces at the front line had significantly diminished, putting immense pressure on him. The 1,000 recovery fruits from Arin would alleviate some of this burden. After Sylvia delivered the fruits, Maria brought up the demon god. Arin was keen to learn more about Liesel, especially any weaknesses, should he have to face him. The hero, Helmios, advised Arin, recalling their fight during the martial arts tournament. He acknowledged Arin's strength but doubted it was enough to confront the demon god. Helmios, having defeated 2 demon gods in the past, credited his victory to his divine extra skill, admitting he stood no chance in a bare-handed fight against them. 3 hours later, at the Zosenheim coast, Arin stood ready, overwhelmed by the sheer number of demonic soldiers approaching. It was time to fight 1,000,000 demons. Arin distributed his magical beasts for reconnaissance, confident in his chances of victory. The battle commenced as Arin summoned Maria and activated the command skill on her. This skill, usable only on level B magical beasts, evolved the recipient into a general class monster, enhancing all their attributes. Maria activated her general class skill, creating an army of duplicates stronger than her original form. This excited Arin, as it allowed him to form a formidable beast army. Maria's single attack could take down a level A monster without even using her awakening skill. Now, it was time to sweep through the 1,000,000-strong demonic army.